Let me continue.
Proceed.
Proceed.
It could be their overtime. It could also be whatever, their legal holiday special pay, their special holiday for pay. But as you can see, there's a blank space in the middle. What that is for is if the employee is also earning, for example, extra fees such as, not fees, I apologize, extra allowances such as cell phone allowance, transportation allowance, uniform allowance, whatever the allowance may be, you place that there. There's another module for that which I'll cover a little later, but it'll appear here automatically. The second column in the middle is called deductions. It has your standard government mandated deductions, but of course there are blank spaces in the middle, just like on the earnings. What this is for is if there's additional deductions, such as, let's say you took a cash advance, or a salary loan of any kind, or any kind of a deduction. It could even be a medical insurance deduction. The amount will appear here in the middle, so your payslip can be complete. And the third column on the very last is called the loan balances. Now we've done this especially for a lot of employees, a lot of HR departments who are very much congested with a lot of requests from employees. They're always asking, what is my salary loan amount? What's my, what was the deduction that I had? What's the balance? Instead of being bombarded by all the employees that you have in your department, what ends up happening is they can actually see it on the pay slips. They decongest the HR department, the payroll department, so you can do more time. You can spend more time in making sure that the resources of your employees are being taken care of. So, for example, if there was a salary loan, you'll see the description and then the balance. So it's going to be deducting every single month. The balance will be diminishing. It'll appear here automatically. It's a great feature. On the bottom, you have here, of course, the summary of the vacation, sick leaves, what's left, the gross pay, and the year-to-date gross pay. The middle would be the deductions, the year-to-date taxes, and then the net pay. The far right side of the pay slip would be more of a receiving copy. You can print this on the standard 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and then you would print it. You would cut off the right side so they could sign it as received. So you have your receiving copy for your files. Okay, that's basically it. So there will be 2 pay slips on one 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. While I'm here, just so you know, all reports that our softwares make in all of AI1 Suite software is that you can also transfer this information to Excel for whatever reason, because a lot of clients sometimes want to change the format, but sometimes changing formats is very costly because you have to pay the software company like us extra money for customizations of layout. In this case, to make it easier for you, all you have to do is click this button on the very upper left-hand side. It looks a little envelope, and you click it. You would basically send it to Excel, and then it would be able to be edited from that functionality there. As you can see here, there's a choice of Excel. You click OK, and it sends it into an Excel file. You can open up. You can make your own adjustments from there on. Okay. Moving forward, other than the pay slip, what you have here, you also have here, for example, features such as the 13th month. Sometime in the Philippines especially, there's a law that you have to pay another additional month as a bonus. It's mandated by law, and some companies voluntarily give a 14th month as well. Okay, so it depends on the country of origin that you are dealing in. The last one here is called sick leave. Sick leave is a conversion payslip, meaning if you have 50 leaves or 10 leaves, you have some of them at the end of the year. Sometimes the company has a policy that you can convert that leave into cash at the end of the year, but not all companies have that policy. It's not mandated by law, but it is a law, is a rule by the company, and that depends on their policy. Further on, you also have here a payroll register. Normally you would print this before you process payroll. Okay? This is your way of validating all the figures are correct before you continue. What I'm doing here is I'm choosing a particular pay period. I'm choosing the option right now, because there are different options, of all employees. If I say yes to that, I click different kinds of formats that we have in different kinds of formats. I'm choosing the one that has daily rates. And then I can also choose what kind of printer that I'm using, but I'll ignore that for the time being, because each printer has different ways of printing the format. So it's very, if you have sometimes some reports, they're cut off on the right or on the left side, or cut off on the bottom or the top, it's usually because the printer selection is incorrect. So you can select the right printer. If I click preview, you have a standard payroll register, meaning it's basically a summary of all the payroll of each department before you release payroll, so you can get this signed off. In short, what ends up happening is you have by department all the employees with all the details of columns on the top. If there's overtime of different kinds, the absences, the gross pay, all the way down to deductions. If everything's correct, continue with payroll. If something is incorrect, you go back to the source data and then make the correction and then process the payroll again, and then you can continue payroll from there. If I move further on from the payroll register, you've got here, for example, such as proofreading. It's exactly like the payroll register, but there's no signatory line on the bottom. It's just a proofread copy. Okay? You can also check your lates. If you are late, if your employees are late, all you got to do is select the particular pay period in question. I click all employees again. I can choose regular employees or different options you can choose. Regular, I'll click preview, and then you'll see here a list of employees that were late in that particular pay period. You can see here, for example, the employees, what department they belong to, the hours that they were late, the amount that will be deducted from their payroll depending on the rate of pay, and then what is undertime, and then the total. So if there are any mistakes, you can correct it by going to the source data, making the correction, and then it'll reflect immediately. That's what the late report is for. Again, all reports, as I mentioned earlier, can be exported to Excel. So if you want to view in Excel because you want to work at home, see the reports, you can do that as well. Not just Excel, but you can also see it by PDF format, or Word, or CSV. It depends on your choice. Other reports you can see are absences report. So if I choose the absences report here, I can select, I hope I have a sample in my database here. In this particular payroll period, there's none. Let me just try another one before I move on to maybe another choice to show you. Again, there's no, so I guess this is a great company employees. None of them are absent, and basically it would work that way. So if there were absences, you can see the list of employees that were absent. You can call them up for review, question them why, or at least you have a record for your HR purposes. Moving further from there, other reports that you can see would be, of course, the violations, if there are any violations. I forgot to mention that earlier. Let me back up a little bit. I need to share that with you right now. I'll go back to the master file that I shared earlier with you. There was a middle tab that I forgot to kind of share with you. I'll take the time now. This middle tab is called employee violations. This can also be used not for violations, it can also be used for accommodations, because maybe we'll rename that a little later, but basically that feature is for that. How this works is like this. If I click the add button on the very bottom, okay, if I click the add button, what ends up happening is you can list down all the types of company policy offenses that exist in your company. In this particular case, we have here unauthorized use of a mobile phone. Maybe the company has a policy of no mobile phones. If that person was caught, I will record it here. I would pay what date was it committed on. I'll say June 1, for example. I can also place here on the far right-hand side, what's the action that was taken. If I show you the samples here, the action taken would be, for example, 3-day suspension, or a verbal warning, or it could be, for example, termination, whatever the rule would be. So if I say 3-day suspension, it's here. Now, there's a button on the very bottom, a command button called Add Attachments. This is if you want to have a copy itself, where you can sign, you give them a memo of their offense, and then the employee signs it. You can scan it, and then you can attach it to this file, so it becomes more of like a paperless office. Okay? So there's a file that later on in the future you can also retract it, or retrieve it, not retract it, but retrieve it. Then I click Save. This is a permanent record, so all the information on the left side of all the records of violation or accommodations for the employee. But this, going back to what I was showing earlier, this can be seen in a report in the other parts of the software, under the reports column. That's why you see that here, okay? So you can see all the different kinds of offenses, you can check box, and it'll filter automatically for you so you can be more specific. This is really advantageous to have, especially if you're reviewing employees. This is what you pull out so you have information so you can share with them how to make them a lot better employee in your company. There's a lot of reports here. There's overtime reports. I won't go through them all right now, but overtime reports. There's additional income reports. There's other deduction reports, loans and premiums, certificate. If an employee asks for a certificate from you to ask, is my loans being remitted? Can I, or my deduction being remitted? You can get a copy of that from the company, and that's where you would retrieve it from. Okay. There's different kinds, from leaves to union information, accounting entries. If you're connecting this to an accounting software of your choice, you can make accounting entries export file. Now, if you get our accounting software, it's already connected automatically. Lastly, you have a cash, ATM, and hold payment summary report and a plantilia report. Okay, the third choice on the report side is called the hard copy for the bank. If you're going to pay employees by ATM, as you see here, this will prepare the ATM transmittal file, the hard copy. So you would go to the bank, you sign it, they sign receipt. This is the base of how much will be deposited in each particular account of your employees. The second choice here, they call it diskette, but we know, you and I know, diskettes are outdated, no one uses them anymore. You might not even know what I'm talking about. But basically, this is a text file that you attach to maybe the email or to the website of the bank, and this text file will be what they would receive, and they can see from there what to be deposited in each particular employee's bank account. Now, we have preset software of banks in the system. This is a Philippine version right now, which I'm sharing with you, but we can do this for other banks in other countries as well. What ends up happening is, in this particular case, if you're a Banco de Oro, in this case we call BDO, it'll make the transmittal for you that's formatted to the bank. Same thing for Metro Bank, same thing for PNB, and so on. So it makes it a little more easier, makes your job faster, because all the reports already are there for the bank itself. Moving further from there, we also have contributions. The contribution report here is the deductions you make of the government